Hello and welcome back to another video. Today going to be going over 60 premium cars I would like to see return for Gran Turismo 7. So in older Gran Turismos we always had standard vehicles and premium vehicles, the premiums being modelled more accurately. There were more recent models, had full interiors and stuff like that. So all the models we see in sport, for example, are what they used to call the premium cars, and they had less well-modelled cars as well. Which they don't want to bring forward to games, so we know pretty much those won't come forward unless they are remodelled. But the premiums are fairly good models, so could come forward. So there are 301 unused premiums that haven't been brought forward to Gran Turismo Sport, and I'm going to be going through my 60 favourites that I would like to see return for Gran Turismo 7. I'm going to be going through different categories: concept cars, race cars, street cars, and custom race cars, which are kind of like Gran Turismo original race cars, so race cars that don't exist in the real world based on other cars from the game. So yeah, I'm going to be going through 60 cars I would like to see return. I don't necessarily expect all of them. I find it unlikely, because Gran Turismo Sport 7 say they are going to have 420 cars, and there's only 54 we don't know about if we assume everything from Sport is coming forward plus all the other cars we've seen. So 60 is slightly more than is left, but I always find it hard to narrow down from a list of cars that haven't come forward to such a low number. So yeah, I'm going to start with 3 concepts I want to see come forward, 20 race cars, then 31 street cars, and 6 custom race cars. So let's get started. So we begin with 3 concept cars. I'm going to start with the Boeing Lunar Rover from 1971. Obviously we had the Lunar Challenge in Gran Turismo 5 or 6. But yeah, something really cool and completely different to anything else we would see on the list. Second up, we have the Citroen Gt, or the GT by Citroen, the electric concept version, not production version, but they made a version outside of the game with an engine. The original concept in Gran Turismo was electric, so yeah, that Citroen concept from 2008. Third up is the Isuzu 4200R concept from 1989, so we've got a 70s concept, an 80s concept, and a 2000s concept on the list, but 3 quite different concept cars that never made a reappearance after, in sport, that would be cool to see return for Gran Turismo 7. So, moving on to 20 race cars I'd like to see return. Starting with the Audi R8 Lms Ultra. There were 2 or 3 that never made their way forwards, but they're all effectively the same car, and now that we have livery editors, you could effectively make, it could just be one model and you could make the liveries or just apply some presets if they include that sort of thing. But anyway, the 2012 R8 Lms Ultra is the start of our list. Second is the Audi R10 TDI racing car from 2006, back when Audi were doing a lot of diesel Le Mans cars and endurance races, something quite cool from that era. Third up is the last Audi on the list of race cars, the Audi Sport Quattro S1 from 1986, quite an icon to not have brought forward, so that one I think is quite likely out of a lot of the cars on this list. Fourth is the Autobahn Arts Garaya from 2008, which is kind of like a Tommy Kyra racing car, almost. That's what it looks like to me anyway, but a really cool racing car that is quite well known from Gran Turismo and not really well known outside of that. Fifth is one a lot of you guys probably love, the Bentley Speed 8, just a really, really cool race car that we haven't seen in a Gran Turismo game for a while. Sixth is the Chevrolet SS Nascar from 2013. There are several versions of NASCARs in here, but I'm only going for the 2013 ones because they were the newest ones in the game. So potentially they wouldn't come forward, they would be replaced with something newer. But if they weren't, it would be cool to see 2013 Chevrolet SS NASCAR come forward. Seventh is the Nissan Delta Wing, also from 2013. Eighth, the Delta Wing, being that really cool three-wheeler thing that raced at Le Mans. Wasn't terribly good or terribly successful, just tried to be different, but something completely different to all the other race cars. Eighth is another NASCAR, the Ford Fusion NASCAR from 2013 again. So again, going with the newest model, there were 2 or 3, I think, in there. Ninth is the Gran Turismo Racing Kart 100, and 10th is the Gran Turismo Racing Kart 125. So slightly different power karts. There were more in there. There were some junior karts and things, but I don't think we need all of them. It would be cool to have 2 different levels of karting, though, and have that return to the game as an event as well. 11th is the Honda NSX Racing. Any of them, there were a few from different teams and different liveries from 2006, but really cool classic NSX, the old NSX. Would be cool to see some racing variants of that come back. 12th is the Lamborghini Diablo Gt2. Really cool Lamborghini Diablo racing car. Doesn't really need much explanation as to why I want that to come forward. 13th is the Lotus 97T, the Ayrton Senna car. Of course, we had the story mode in one of the previous games, so a few of his cars were in there. But that one in particular, I think, would be really cool to see make a reappearance in 7. 14th is the Nissan GTR, either the Calsonic or the Motul one, the kind of GT, the kind of Super GT car, 2008. But either livery, it doesn't necessarily, or just one car where you can apply either, or like I say with the livery editor, you can make your own. Maybe you get it just in grey or something. But anyway, that would be really cool to see one of those come back. 15th is the Peugeot 908 endurance car, 2010. We haven't really seen anything similar for a while, and Peugeot haven't entered racing for a long time, so yeah, that's the last kind of cool Peugeot racing car. 16th is the Red Bull X2010 from 2010, the crazy Red Bull car that we've seen in... kind of think that might be in there. Anyway, and also the Red Bull X 2014 fan car, which was really annoying in online lobbies, but yeah, an amazing piece of engineering. So that would be really cool to see in there. 18th, we have the Suzuki SX4 Monster Sport Pikes Peak car from 2011. So again, a really cool hill climb car. If you saw my recent video on tracks, we had the Pikes Peaks course in there, of courses I'd like to return, so if we had that alongside Pikes Peak, that would be really cool. By the way, if you haven't seen that video, do go and check it out. If you're enjoying this one, similar sort of video, but on tracks rather than cars. 19th, we have another NASCAR, the Toyota Camry NASCAR, again from 2013, going with the 3 newest NASCARs on the list, and cutting out the older ones, although, like I say, potentially if they reintroduced NASCARs, they would want newer ones. And last but not least, number 20 on the race car list is the Toyota Celica GT4 from 1995, the ST205, the one a lot of people love. But yeah, classic rally car. Would be really cool to see it alongside the Tom's Supra, for example, with the matching Castrol livery. So that is all 20 of the race cars. Moving on to 31 street cars I would like to see, starting with number 1, Alfa Romeo 8C Competizione. Really cool, well, last 8-cylinder Alfa Romeo we've had, I think. So really cool, a big Alfa GT car, which they don't really make many of anymore, so that would be cool to see return. Second, the Alfa Romeo Brera, just because I think it's a beautiful looking car, from 2006. Third, the Alfa Romeo TZ3 from 2011, big V10 car, I believe, based on a Viper. Really cool thing, super rare in real life, would love to see that come back for GT7. Fourth, the Art Morrison Corvette, one of these mad sort of tuner one-off cars that we've seen come to many Gran Turismo games. We had a few in Sport, but it would be cool to see this one return alongside some of the cars from Sport. Fifth, the Aston Martin V12 Vantage. We only had the V8 in Sport for some reason, so I was slightly confused when I saw this was on the list of cars that didn't come forward, because I thought it was, but it was only the V8 we had in Sport, and the V12 is the one we want. Sixth is the Audi RS6 Avant from 2008. Really cool high-performance estate car, which we don't really have many of in Sport, so that would be cool to see. Seventh, the BMW 507 from 1957. Beautiful classic car. I have good memories of driving this on the Goodwood Hill Climb Challenge on Gran Turismo 6, I believe. So that would be really cool to see that return. BMW M5 from 2008, similar to the RS6 Avant in many ways, being a big V10 saloon car, not quite the estate that the Avant is, but two big V10 saloon/estate cars from both from 2008 would be a really cool pairing. Ninth, we have the Corvette Zr1 from 2009, so the C6 generation Corvette. We obviously have the C7s in Sport, and potentially we'll see C8s added to 7 at some point. But I always love that generation, I just think it looks cooler than the other ones. 10th, the crazy Citroen V16T from 1994. Mad thing, looks a bit like a Lamborghini, but is so much more exclusive, so much more unusual, and a lot of people haven't heard of this other than in Gran Turismo, so really cool to see that return. 11th, the Ferrari 430 Scuderia from 2007, obviously the fast version of the F430, which again is one on the list of cars that disappeared, premium cars that disappeared, but yeah, the 430 Scuderia is the kind of high-performance one that we would actually want. 12th is the Ferrari FXX, track-only, mad Ferrari, obviously now followed up with the FXXK, but 2007 Ferrari sounded amazing, it would be really cool to see that return. 13th, the Ferrari SP1 from 2008, mad looking thing, obviously super exclusive, I don't know how many they actually made, if any, well, obviously they made at least one, but yeah, from 2008, that would be really cool to see that return. 14th, the Fisker Karma from 2012, I think it's now a Karma something or else, it's changed names, so potentially licensing would be difficult and they would have to add the newer model, but they could potentially add the newer model based on this old model, if you like, the newer model of car based on the old 3D model they had for the original Karma. It can't be that different, so you wouldn't have thought it would be too hard to add either the 2012 version or the new version. 15th, the Jaguar XKRS from 2011, super cool thing, supercharged Jag, would be really cool to see that return. 16th, the Lamborghini Gallardo from 2008. You know how much I love the Gallardo, so it would be really cool to see that return for GT7. 17th, the Murcielago SV from 2009. Don't really need an explanation why that's an awesome thing to have return. I'm sure a lot of you guys love that car. 18th, similarly, the Lamborghini Rebenton. Obviously based on the Murcielago quite heavily, 2008 Rebenton, but super exclusive, one of the first few off Lamborghinis. 19th, the Lexus Lfa, obviously amazing engine note. Personally, I don't think it looks very nice, but a lot of people love the Lexus Lfa in general, so I think that kind of deserves a place in GT7. 20th, the Light Car Company Rocket from 2007, obviously designed by Gordon Murray, the guy behind the McLaren F1 and behind the new T50 that's coming out, so that would be really cool to see that return, potentially alongside the new T50. 21, the Lotus Elise from 1996, the really early, original model Lotus Elise. Especially now the Elise has gone out of production, I feel like having the first generation in the game is quite an important car to have in racing games. 22nd on the list is the Mazda Autozam from 92. Amazing, tiny little thing, gull-wing doors, it's so cool. Super rare, particularly here in the UK, although I was lucky enough to see one not that long ago. Amazing little thing, so that would be really cool to see that return. 23rd on the list, the RX-8 from 2007. We have some RX-7s in Sport, but having the RX-8 added back would again be really cool. 24th, the Mercedes 300 SL from 54. Yes, we've seen a much earlier 300 SL in some of the pictures of the trailer, kind of race car variant, but the sort of classic one that everyone recognises, the 54 300 SL, would be really cool to see. 25th, something a bit different, the Nissan Leaf from 2011. Yes, might seem like a boring car, but racing a whole field of them is amazing, and you can upgrade them, and it would just be super cool to have something completely different, completely slow, provide some close racing. It would just be super fun. 26th, similarly to that, the Suzuki Cappuccino, tiny little K-car. Would be really cool to see that come to Gran Turismo 7 as well. Obviously, a lot of them have been through the previous Gran Turismos, and that one is quite a, well, just a really cool one to have, I think. 27th, moving back to something electric again, the Tesla Roadster from 2008, the original Tesla. Again, I feel like we need some of these original ones, because everyone's kind of forgotten about this almost. We think of Tesla as making not very interesting saloons, but the original Roadster was where it all started. Really cool little thing, quite heavily, well, visually based on the Lotus Elise, but yeah, really cool little thing. So that'd be cool to see that return. 28th, the Toyota Prius from 2009. Bit like the Leaf, you might be wondering why I've put that on the list, but having slow, dull cars like that and racing a whole pack of them is just really, really good fun, and customizing them in ways you shouldn't is just really cool. I don't know what it is about it, and we've seen that wide bodies and stuff are coming to the game, so just imagine a wide body Prius, and imagine a whole pack of them racing. It's just something fun and different. 29th, the VW Kubelwagen from 1944, which we actually had in older Gran Turismos. They always seem to have the German military vehicles, but not the other side. So now that we know we're getting the Willys Jeep in Gran Turismo 7, it would be really cool to have this to race against it almost. Similarly, with the car, 30th car on the list, the VW Schwimmwagen from 1942. Effectively the same thing, but the amphibious version. So those two racing against the Jeep, I just think would be really cool. And they're cars you just don't, well, vehicles you just don't get in racing games. It's something completely different, completely unique, and I love having things like that. A bit like the Lunar Rover that we started the list with. Just having some of these odd things in there would be really cool. Moving back to something slightly more ordinary, the 31st car, street car on the list is the Volvo C30r design from 2009. Quite a lot older Volvo, but yeah, we don't get many of them in games. Some games don't seem to have them at all. But yeah, the C30R design, I just think it was really cool, the little C30. Kind of a shame they don't make them anymore. And that is all 31 street cars I would like to see return for Gran Turismo 7. And finally, we move on to 6 custom race cars I'd like to see return. So original race cars, a bit like the original tracks. These are Gran Turismo made-up racing cars based on real-life road cars, a lot of which would have been in the street cars list of cars I would like to see return. So we're going to start, number 1, the Chevrolet Camaro SS racing car from 2010. So a touring car style vehicle based on the 2010 Camaro SS. It would be really cool to see that return. Second up, another Chevrolet, the classic Camaro, the Z28. They had a race car variant of that. So 1969 Camaro and a 2010 Camaro, both in race car form, would be really cool. Third up, the Dodge Challenger RT race car from 1970. So classic Dodge Challenger RT to go up against that Chevrolet Camaro, the classic one. Fourth up, the Dodge Challenger SRT8 race car from 2008. So the newer Challenger to go up against the new Camaro, first of our custom race cars on the list. Fifth, the Lotus Elise race car from 1996, so based on that first-gen Lotus Elise that I had in the street cars that I'd like to see return. And last but not least, the Toyota Prius touring car. Yes, they did make a Prius touring car version of the Prius that I mentioned in the street cars. So imagine that, a whole grid of touring car Priuses racing. I know I said, what about a Prius with a wide body? This has kind of got, well, race car aero on it. It's just, I don't know, there's something just cool about a Prius touring car, and it kind of goes against all the Prius stands for, but I don't know, there's just something about it that's fun. So that would be really cool to see, and that's quite a nice car to finish off our list of 60 premium vehicles I would like to see return for Gran Turismo 7. So yes, I know there's 60 on the list. We only think we're getting 54 more cars than we already know about. So yes, they're very unlikely to all be in there. And it's very unlikely that the 54 remaining cars are all from that list. It's quite possible we'll get newer stuff. Some of them are older vehicles as well, so bringing them forward wouldn't necessarily make sense. They'd more likely bring in a newer model. For example, all the Nascars, they'd bring in one from last year maybe instead. But yeah, these are all the cars they already have premium models for, if you like, so it's a lot less work for them to bring these cars forward than to model new cars. So it would be cool to see at least some of them return within those 54, I think it is, cars that we don't know about yet. So yeah, do let me know if there's any premium cars you'd like to see return that I've missed, or if any on that list are cars you particularly would like to see return. And yeah, I look forward to hearing more about Gran Turismo 7 in the coming months before it comes out, and hopefully more cars are revealed before that does come out. And if you haven't already gone and checked out the video, a similar video I did on tracks I'd like to see return to Gran Turismo 7, do go and check that one out. It should have gone up same time last week. But that is going to be all for today's video. Do let me know if you've enjoyed this slightly different style of wishlist kind of style videos, because there are potentially more topics we could go over relating to Gran Turismo 7 and other upcoming games. But anyway, that is going to be all for today's video. If you did enjoy it and you haven't already subscribed, please do consider subscribing. But that is going to be all for today's video. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.